I'm gonna go ahead and get started now. Hi everyone, welcome to Labster. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to learn something new. My name is Dan Pratt. I'm one of the regional directors here at Labster, in charge of building and managing partnerships with folks like yourselves. And today I'll be walking you through the Labster platform, showing you what we have. So over the course of the next 20 minutes or so, it shouldn't take too long, but I want to discuss, three main things. First, who we are here at Labster. Second, how we can help. And then third, how we can build Labster into your courses. Of course, at the end, I'll save time for any questions. So as they come up throughout the presentation, feel free to put them in the question box from the right-hand panel, and I can cover them at the end. All right, so just to tell you a little bit about us, a little background on Labster, we actually began as an outreach project at the University of Copenhagen back in 2013. Our co-founder was in charge of teaching some introductory labs, and he found that there was a couple of issues that he ran into. First was a serious lack of overall student engagement, also motivation, retention of knowledge within this classroom, and the current lab teaching methods he was using were either ineffective, expensive, or just severely limited by time and resources. So that led him to develop Labster as a way to get the class on the same page, engage students in theory and techniques, and overall give the instructors an idea of how students are mastering the material. So as we continued to grow, we realized that there were many different ways that students would be able to benefit from the simulations, and nearly any real world scenario could be simulated. So we've conquered handling lab accidents, lab safety, mastering lab techniques and protocol, and giving students access to things that they can't see in the real world. And since our growth, we've have some pretty big partnerships around the world. There are several different ways that Labster can be used. University of Florida, for example, is using Labster in both face-to-face and online developmental biology courses. They've been able to reduce the cost of experiments, increase access to the lab apparatus and equipment, and has seen a deeper student understanding of the content. So this really allowed them to expand offerings both on the ground and online. Arizona State, another example, they implemented Labster into an online ecology course to provide unlimited access to the lab for students, so also in remote locations, and it really allowed them to provide more value for less through scalability and reallocation of resources. So when it comes to the catalog today of what we have over 130 simulations, and these are some of the most common courses that we work with. I'll get into a little bit more as we go through the presentation. We can work with more courses. We're always happy to kind of help map out, what Labster simulations would fit with your course, but these are some of the core, courses that we work with today. But diving into Labster, I'm going to run through a quick video here, kind of highlighting some of the high-level points of what we have. So, I guess as a whole, we address these challenges and help, move folks' courses to remote, pre-labs, however you want to use Labster is through the use of these gamified virtual labs. And we allow students to change variables, observe outcomes, even make mistakes just like they would in a real lab, but in a virtual environment. So as I mentioned, we have about 130 plus labs in our catalog today. Each is going to be a gamified case study, typically covering 1 to 2 lectures, 1 lab practical session, taking about 45 minutes on average to complete. And the way that we're building these simulations is around a storyline. So we're going to be linking any abstract theory and techniques covered to a real world application, whether it be solving a crime, helping the local sports team or doctor, or just learning about your diet, your body, exercise. Students know why they need to learn this, how it relates to their real life. They're also required to complete every step that they would in the real lab, and in doing so, they learn the lab protocol as well. So, not only how to use the different machines, equipment, but also following basic safety protocol, putting on a lab coat, gloves, safety glasses, changing pipette tips, sterilizing equipment. Lastly, instead of just being that simple digitized version of a real lab, we wanted the platform to allow students to learn in a way that's not possible in a real lab environment. So we do this in 2 main ways. The first is going to be multiple choice quiz questions throughout that the students have to get right in order to move forward. They can be graded and imported directly into your learning management system. And second, we actually give the students the ability to go inside of cells, molecules, machines, solutions, whatever it might be, to see what's actually taking place, kind of know that it's not just magic, to look at these interactive cellular molecular visualizations as they're going through. So that is the high level intro to Labster. I'm going to actually dive in now and give you a demo of what's called our faculty resource page. And I'm going to go ahead and, feel free to reach out and anyone can set you up with access to this after the call. But this is really your one-stop shop for everything Labster. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of walk you through how it works, what it looks like. You see here, you're able to look at the complete package of labs, everything we offer, A to Z. You're able to drill down by course, see what we have that typically fits with that course, and you'll see that it kind of goes down with all of these buckets. Now, one thing about Labster is we don't have any set packages, so you're more than welcome to go into a microbiology course, for example, and say you want to use all of these labs, but we're not going to limit you to just those labs or make you use all of those labs. It's a la carte, so you actually get to design your own custom package of what you want to use for your course. So for today, I'm going to jump into a chemistry simulation to show you what it looks like. From here, you can click on any tab. I'm going to use titration as an example. It's something that students tend to struggle with, lots of math. It's one of our most popular simulations. And when you click on this new tab, it's going to give you a lot of information. You're able to download the quiz questions and answers, so see what we're asking the students as they go throughout. You can read through the theory. So it's fully, available online in and outside of the simulations for the students. It's what they're going to be reading through to help answer those questions. You can look at the techniques, the learning objectives, a summary of what the students are going to be doing in the lab, and then down below, there's just a couple of screenshots. Now, when it comes to playing through the simulation, you're actually going to have two ways to do it as an evaluator. If you click play simulation here, it'll open up in a new tab and you'll be able to play through just like the students would, controlling everything. Or we also have these video walkthroughs, someone from our team playing through, getting all the answers right. A good way to go through a little bit quicker to see what we have, skip around, and allow yourself to know what the students would be doing. So in the interest of time today, I'm going to run through this video and kind of skip through, show you some high level points. Two things you'll notice right when you jump into the lab. First is going to be this little floating robot here, Dr. One. He's like a virtual lab assistant for the students, there to guide them if they get stuck, give them directions, and overall help support them as they're running through the lab. They also have this lab pad in the lower left-hand corner. It's where the directions are going to be, but this is also going to pop up with the questions. They're going to read through the theory, look through pictures, videos to help them. And it's almost set up like a video game where they're going to have a mission, they're going to have their score, they're going to track their progress. They have a calculator in this one because it's very math heavy, but this is really what it's all centralized. So if a student wants to reload a checkpoint, they're able to come in here, reload that checkpoint and kind of pick up in the past. But as I mentioned, everything relates to that real life scenario. So this one, they actually get teleported to the the scene of a train accident. So there was a train, it was carrying a large amount of sulfuric acid. So you're actually going to talk with the chief of the incident response team to figure out what's happening, what's the effect, how we can help. Again, it's just, a quick minute at the beginning of each lab, but it sets up that storyline for the students. This one, they're going to collect some water samples, head back into the lab, and the overall goal and mission here is to neutralize the acid in the lake to help save the environment. So they'll talk to Pablo, they'll jump back into the lab here. Just like any lab, before you actually enter in, you're going to need to put on a lab coat. This one, you're dealing with chemicals, you need the safety glasses, you need to find the gloves. So once the students put on the gloves, they're ready to enter into the lab and get started. So here, they're going to enter into the lab. The first step going through any lab experiment is setting up the equipment. So they're able to here watch someone set it up. They can do it themselves. They're going to be able to read through the theory, how to do it. So they'll go through, start running through the experiment, setting everything up. They're able to, hover over the different things on the table, on the lab bench, see what they're going to be working with as they go through. And once everything's set up, they're going to be ready to begin. Now, this is an example of one of those quiz questions that we asked throughout. With these quiz questions, they're worth 10 points apiece. So every time they get it right the first time, their first answer, it's going to be worth 10 points. If they get it wrong each time, it subtracts 2 points from that total. So if they do get it wrong, it's not just going to, tell them they're wrong to try again. It does two things. It's going to prompt them to view that theory read, find the answer. And when it pops back up, the order is always randomized. So A, B, C, D is never going to be the same, almost forcing the students to go in, think critically, and do their reading, or else their score is going to be effective. But once they do get the right answer, it won't also tell them, why that's right, just to reinforce those concepts as well. So again, I'm jumping around pretty quickly here, but they're going to actually start, going through, reading through theory, running through a lab just like you'd want them to in real life. And then, as I mentioned, we give them the ability to see things on a molecular level. So here they actually get to go inside of the solution and watch the ions interact with each other, see what's actually taking place underneath. Again, to know that it's not just magic and reinforce those concepts for the students. So they'll watch the animations, they're going to answer questions around that as they go through. And what we really try to do is, give them the context and make sure that they understand what they're doing, before diving into, some of the techniques here, which is, actually performing the titration, learning the math. So after they do that, they're actually going to go, back into the lab and they're going to perform a titration. They're going to use all the equipment you do in real life. They're going to have to learn how to read a burette. They're going to, read it correctly, answer the questions, and run through the titration lab, just like you'd want them to do in the lab. They'll learn the different math, they'll analyze the screens, and run through everything. Now with this one, you don't just get that storyline at the beginning. It obviously all comes full circle. So at the end of this one, once they kind of learn and, successfully perform the titration correctly, they're going to be able to go back out to the scene of the train accident, and they figure out that they need to add, limestone. They need to lime the lake in order to neutralize the acid. So the last thing they're going to have to do here is calculate how much acid to add to neutralize the lake and save the environment. So that's just the really quick run through of Labster, of the faculty resource page. Again, if you'd like access to look through for yourself, we can follow up afterwards and set you up with the login so you can come in and play around there. So diving back into the slides, there's a couple more things that I wanted to cover quickly. First is some of the data behind Labster. So these are two studies. The one on the left here was actually our first publication in Nature Biotechnology, and they really wanted to look at the learning improvements, the difference in learning outcomes for, groups that use Labster compared to groups that use traditional teaching methods. So what they did was take two groups of students, taught them the same exact material, one through traditional methods, one through Labster, and the result was a 76% increase in knowledge for the group that used Labster. More importantly, no one's going to say, hey, go do Labster, this is going to be your grade. So we also wanted to see, how Labster could be used to flip the classroom, assign Labster with traditional teaching to see what the learning outcomes were. And in that case, there was a 101% increase in learning outcomes compared to traditional teaching alone. So students learned, twice as much. And then we also did a, retention test 40 days later, and the students who went through Labster retained more information as well. On the right, another study done with CSU Northridge. They decided to move one of their introductory biology courses online that served over 2,000 students per year. And before Labster, they had an 80% pass rate. After Labster, they were actually able to increase that to 95%. So that means we were able to help 300 more students pass the course. So moving forward, how can we help you build Labster into your course? How is this something that, you find, is it going to be fit? Is it going to be effective? Is it something that's going to, help your students? The first step is taking a look through the content and seeing what we have that fits. So one thing that we always offer is what's called course mapping, where you're actually able to send us a syllabus, a synopsis of what you want to cover, even just a list of lab techniques to see if we have the content that fits there. And we actually have a team of educators who's going to be able to take a look through that and complete what we call a course map. So this way, if you're teaching a genetics course, if you're teaching, an environmental science course, something that's not, under one of those brackets on the faculty resource page, it's a good way for us to, engage with you and make sure that we have the content that fits with your course, before you spend the time and effort, going through and building it into the course. So that's something we always offer as well. But really, when it comes to setting up Labster, rolling it out, it's pretty easy. We complete that course outline with you, work with you, help you along the way as you figure out which labs you want to use. From there, we're going to help map the competencies, assure that everything aligns correctly for you. And moving forward, you're actually able to download this right into your learning management system. So Blackboard, Moodle, Canvas, Brightspace, whatever it might be, Labster can actually link directly with that. The grades can automatically pull over and the students can access through there. Now, we also have the option to access through labster.com, what's called Labster Direct. Again, you'll have a full dashboard, and I'll go into that a little bit. So you'll be able to see the students' grades. It's just wouldn't link directly with your learning management system. So it's really whatever works best for you and best for your students. So just to kind of wrap up in closing, Labster is going to be able to benefit your students in a variety of ways, whether it's for your traditional on-ground students, remote learning, a combination of the two. I know things are still very up in the air for fall right now, but the simulations are really designed so that the students can have that real life experience that they would in a real wet lab, but each is based around that real life scenario to give them that contextual understanding as well. The pedagogy behind Labster has been proven effective in over 15 peer-reviewed research papers. The animations give the students the ability to see things that they wouldn't see in a real lab. And between the quiz questions and the ability to make mistakes, learn from that failure, students will really learn the why about the how and get that full learning experience as they're going through. So lastly, one question we always get, and I'm sure it's on the top of everyone's mind today, is pricing. How much does Labster cost? So I wanted to run through that quickly on the call today. Our pricing is on our website. I'm sure some of you might have looked there, checked it out. But essentially, we have a few options for you, and you can really pick and choose whatever fits best for your course. So the first most popular package is the one that you see on the left here. That's actually going to be what we call our full access. It's $99 per student. Comes with unlimited number of labs, so you can use as many labs as you want in your course. Comes with that teacher dashboard, so you can get the full, insight into the grade books, drill down into the scores, see how the individual students are doing. You have the live chat support, LMS integration again, Canvas, Blackboard, Moodle, Google Classroom, Brightspace, whatever it might be. And then you also have a dedicated customer success manager who can, help you with some course mapping, help you with the setup, and, be there to help you along the way as you're going through and doing everything, getting your course set up and running through with your students. The second option, if you're looking to start a little bit smaller, we also offer starter access. So this is going to be less expensive. It's going to be $49 per student, and it allows you to use up to 8 simulations. Now, the one difference here is it doesn't come with that LMS integration, so you don't have that customer success manager, but you still get access to that full dashboard. So you're able to see the students' grades, download them to an Excel sheet, import them to your LMS on your own, and that comes with the live chat support as well. And then the third option would be an institution-wide access. So that would actually cover your entire school, your entire university, college, high school, whatever it might be, for unlimited use for a full year. So this pricing is based off of the total enrollment for your school. And, we'd be happy to connect you with the regional director in your area to kind of go over and get solid figures for you there. But that comes with, everything you see here. Again, unlimited access. So that means unlimited simulations, unlimited courses, unlimited number of students for the entire year. That teacher dashboard, live chat support, the LMS integration, customer success manager, course mapping, and then we can also do some live onboarding. So almost like this, we can kind of, do a webinar. Anyone teaching who can make it, we can go through, how to build out the courses, how to duplicate course shells using Labster if you have multiple sections, and then we can also record it and send it to anyone who can't make it. And that's part of that faculty training as well, that we'd be there, because we know in some of those cases, some of the faculty using Labster might not have a chance to talk to us beforehand. Whereas if you're looking for an individual course, we can talk through training. So we like to set that up to allow, for unlimited faculty training as much as you need to kind of get everything up and running. So that is the webinar today. That's what I had to present. I can leave the time now and save the rest of the 20 minutes to answer any questions. So if you do have some, I don't see any yet, but feel free to pop them in that question box and I will answer them. All right, here's a question here. Can we customize any of the labs? So right now you're not able to customize the labs. So you can, they're kind of pre-built. So the short answer is no, they're not customizable, but I know it's something that we've been talking about for the future. We just don't have a time frame. It's something we'd like to do eventually is allow for some level of customization. All right. Will you email the links so we can access this after? Yep. So you're the regional director in your area will be reaching out, so that way they can set you up with a link so you can go through and access the faculty resource page and look through. All right, here's another one. How many teachers can have access to Labster with the 5K plan? I believe you're referring to high school in this sense. It is something that we can definitely talk about. It doesn't, I guess the short answer is there's no limit for teachers. Basically, pricing is based on the number of students. So we can definitely have, a conversation offline, and when your regional director reach out to you to discuss kind of how that pricing structure would work. All right. Do you have any labs for middle school students is another one right here. So the short answer is possibly. Most of the labs that we have today are designed for either higher education or high schools, but we do have what we call, a principals package that would fit with 7th and 8th grade. Probably a good handful or two, 10 to 15 simulations would fit with middle school students. I think the best way to go about looking into, if we have the content that would fit would be, when your regional director again reaches out to have that conversation with them, as they'll be able to, point you towards the right simulations for middle school. All right. How do we sign up for access? Great question. Again, we'll be reaching out, your regional director, sometime either today or tomorrow. And at that point, they'll be able to sign you up with access to the faculty resource page so you can take a look. My email is also right there, daniel.pratt@labster.com. So if you wanted to send me an email, I could, point you in the right direction and set you up with access as well. All right. Is there a local partner in the Philippines? I guess the short answer is we do have a lot of schools in the Philippines using Labster. I'm not sure exactly how that worked. I believe, we don't really have partners resellers over there, so everything does go through Labster, but I know we do have a lot of schools there. I'm more than happy to connect you with the rep at Labster who has done the work recently with schools over in the Philippines. Can you connect to Google Classroom as well? Yep, so we do link with Google Classroom. That's one of the LMS that we support. So you'd be able to, again, have the gradebook automatically pull over. Does the grading support written lab reports being submitted by the students, even if they are short reports? That's a great question. And, with everything moving remote, it is important to make sure that the students are thinking critically going through. And, that's kind of embedded throughout where they're answering the questions. It's not something that they can just click through. That being said, a lot of what schools, I primarily work in New England with schools in the New England area, and a lot of what I've been seeing that they've been doing and having conversations around is actually having the students go through, take notes as they go through, and then write up a lab report afterwards, because it really links to that real life example, almost like a case study. They're able to write what's happening. They're able to write, what they learned, what they went through the lab, the experiments they did, and really generate a lab report. And everything that I've heard, it's been working phenomenally so far. So it definitely is possible to, allow the students to write a lab report with what we have. Can you use any of the labs a la carte, looking for a smaller package than 8 labs? Another great question. So right now, those are the packages that we have. So, typically, that is our lowest price point for anything from 1 to 8 labs. If it's something you're definitely interested in talking about, again, that would be a question for your regional director to run through. Can we get your slides? Sure, yeah, we'd be more than happy to send over, the recording of the webinar to share with any of your colleagues. And if you wanted a copy, of the slides to have for yourself, I'm sure all the regional directors here have a copy that they'd be able to help you and give you access to. How does Labster track the number of students using Labster? That's a great question. So from our end, when we build out the licenses, we can see how many students are using Labster in our system. So we're able to go in and look to see, total number of students using Labster right now. We're able to look by course or by institution. When it comes to, looking at, a site license, anything like that, it's really unlimited. And then when it comes to other courses, if you're looking to sign up a course individually, that would be a conversation, that you'd have again with your regional director to talk through how many student licenses you're going to need in order to get it up and running. But we can see the number of students using Labster on our back end. All right, can we have labs from different courses to create or customize our own course? Yep, so it is a la carte as far as, choosing your package. You're able to pick and choose from all those different options within the faculty resource page to build out your course exactly how you want. So we don't have any set packages. You can choose some from chemistry, physics, biology, microbiology to build the copy, the package for your course. Will you post a video copy of this webinar on your website? Yes, I believe we will. There are some, previous webinars that ran through the same information as well there. So if you go to the website and search for webinars, you'll be able to find, a copy of the webinar to share it with any colleagues. And if you wanted a recording of this one, we'll be more than happy to send it to you as well. Can we create one and present it to you to add to the library? That's another great question. So right now we create all of these in-house. So I guess the short answer is probably not right now. It might be an option in the future, but we have a team of former video game designers, PhDs who really come together to build these, get input from faculty around the world to make sure that we have the content that you're looking for. So yeah, I mean, if it's something, feel free to bring that up with your regional director. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to have a conversation about it. But right now, we build everything in-house. Another one, I would like to get access to view one of the labs. Yep, definitely. We can set anyone up with access to that faculty resource page afterwards. So feel free to either send me an email or reply when your regional director reaches out. All right. Let me go through. I know there's a couple more here. Do you know of anyone using Labster in Romania? Off the top of my head, I don't. That is another thing that, if you want to send me an email, I can definitely let you know if we do have any customers using in Romania. Is there a free trial version of Labster? So right now we don't do free trials. It is something that we'd be able to talk through with COVID, depending on where your situation is at. Essentially, what we allow for free access is that faculty resource page. That way, faculty are able to go in, play through the simulations, and look at them. But if it's something that you have a question about, access, anything like that, your regional director will be more than happy to help you out there. Let me go see if there's any more. All right, so it looks like that is all of the questions for now. I can give another quick minute in case there's any other last minute questions. Here's one. So we offer 6 science classes per school with 20 kids at an after-school enrichment class, and then we go to another school for another 6 days, then to another one for another 6 days. Can we use the same licenses for all different sessions? So the short answer is probably not. Each license is going to be tied to a specific student, and you wouldn't be able to reuse them. If we're looking at a way to allow you to do that, I'm sure we can talk about kind of what a site license would look like for your organization to allow you to with cost in mind, be able to use multiple licenses with different students, groups of students throughout the year. So it is something that we'd be more than happy to chat about. But as far as reusing licenses, it's not something that you can do today. All right. So it looks like there are no more questions. So I'll go ahead, wrap things up, and close this out. But before I leave, again, just want to thank everyone for your time, for joining us. Feel free to reach out with any questions, and your regional director will be in touch with you afterwards so that you can get some access and start looking around. So thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week.